you guys can help us with a little bit of a mic check as usual. Hey, Kathy. Kathy says hello.
Hey, Gabby.
Today I don't have my beautiful mic, so hopefully I sound okay. Usually I have the same mic as Dorlin and it works really well, but today it's just my MacBook Air's mic. Okay, Carrie Keon. Oh, first time in chat. What's up? This is Christine. Oh, hey, Christine. Christine said we sound good so far. Welcome to the
Mm,
Web Alley crew.
Welcome.
All right, so Dorlin, go ahead and say a few things. Make sure everybody can hear you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. Hope everyone's doing well and can hear me, and I'm not too loud or too soft or anything.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we sound about the same amount of about the same. And I have been more, I guess, trying to be more aware of the fact that some people, the only thing that they sound, okay, sounds a bit echoey. Um, on
That's
Dorland's
me.
end, okay, that means
Okay.
I have something, two things going at the same time, maybe. Let's see. Or it's because I don't have canceling any on. Dorland sounds a little louder. Okay, I might have to put headphones in. We might have to do one of those
I
take.
could turn my mic down so I'd be come down to your level.
I think it's probably just like the speakers, my speakers bouncing off like what you're saying because you're, yeah. I got headphones. Just gotta configure them so that it's not going through the headphone mic because that thing is not great. So thank you everyone for being patient and playing the game. Okay. Okay, can you all still hear me? Can you hear me, Dorlin?
I can. Yeah.
Okay.
You sound good to me. You sound the same.
Okay. Does is Dorlin still echoing? Echo's gone.
Hello.
Oh, snap. Okay, great.
Woohoo.
So
That's what's up.
we know now that I'm gonna need headphones when I don't have my mic. That mic is it's so cheap but so good. It just cancels everything. It's great. All right. So
Yeah.
now that we actually, oh, Carrie said the MacBook Air mic sounds fab. Yeah, it's surprisingly good. I've done a few streams with just, well, I only did streams without it before I got the mic, and it was all right. But the mic sounds better. Uh, Let me just make sure everything's good. Your mic, I can just manually make it a little lower. All right, I think we're good to go. How's everyone doing, by the way? If you're new here and you've never interacted with the chat and you're able to interact with the chat, go ahead and say hi. And while you say hi, or any questions or anything you want to say to the group for anybody here, we got another first time chatter. Q, what's up, Q? Q Swick? I don't know. QESWIC. I don't know how to pronounce that, but they say hi. Okay, while we get our first chatters in, I'm happy that y'all are saying hi. I'm gonna have a conversation sidebar about what me and Dorlan were talking about before we did this. Also, by the way, if this is your first time here, I'm pretty verbose when it comes to explaining what's in the chat and reading everyone's chat out loud so that Dorlan and anyone who is not able to see the screen knows what's going on in the chat. So, with that in mind, I was talking about how when I watch streams or when I'm participating in like a series of streams or like learning or whatever, I am like a lurker. I never interact with the chat like ever. Like and I now that I'm the one streaming, I'm always like, yo, say something in the chat. And me and Dorlan were talking about how some people may not be able to interact with the chat because like how do you interact with the chat if you can't see the screen or you're using a screen reader. Um, So tell me some more about that. Let's go on a thought experiment because this is something interesting to think about, especially for this stream.
I've never personally tried to use the Twitch chat, but I know about chats in general. If your focus is on that chat and it's active, you're getting all this information coming in, and it really takes away from what you're also trying to listen to, which is, the presentation or whatever, the presenters are there talking about. And so it can be a little much. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who can do both and are like really, I mean, we can actually route, one like JAWS or our screen reader into one ear and then have, the other audio in one. So you might be able to kind of pay attention that way. But in general, I don't, I'm not a huge fan of interacting with the chats because it takes my attention away so much from what I'm listening to.
Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about was if you're using a screen reader and you're out, I'm like, how would you be able to keep up with the chat and then also listen to what someone else is saying if like something's talking in one ear and then in the other ear someone's talking simultaneously? And I had honestly just never thought about it. So it was something
Mm-hmm.
interesting to think about.
Or if you're trying to type a message and so your screen reader is reading back to you what you're typing, echoing your characters or your words, and then new messages are coming in at the same time, you want to like go check you can't do both things at once. You need to like finish your message and send it, or navigate over and read the other messages first and then go back. That's actually something that happens with me a lot with Teams, not so much in a social chat, but in a like work setting.
Right.
It's like, what did they just say? Is my message even still relevant? Let me go see that and then let me go back. So it can be a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's dive right into it. If no one has any general questions or comments, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. This may or may not be a long stream. Me and Dorlin are both going to play it by ear. We're we have you guys energize me, but today I'm feeling a little less
Mm-hmm.
energized than usual. But I'd really like to get through all the stuff that we're getting through. Clean Ivy says hi. Their first time in the chat. Hey, Clean Ivy.
Yay.
And Kathy
Welcome.
Code said, nice to see so many new people. Yeah, it seems like we have quite a few
Mm-hmm.
new people who are joining us over the weeks as they find us on YouTube or LinkedIn. Um, I think people are finding the CPAC videos, so that's pretty cool. I've been getting emails and messages saying like that people are watching it and they like them. So I'm like, yay! All right, I'm gonna change my screen so that you guys can see what's on my screen. Alrighty, today we're talking about designing an accessible user experience. So we're talking specifically about the design, or you can call it UX if you want, user experience visually as someone goes through your web page or a web page. So we're not talking about coding specifically, but this is what we need to think about before we start coding things, before we start building things, right? So let me turn this into actual PowerPoint. All right, so first we're going to talk about accessibility and inclusive design, which is our overarching topic today. And I have something on the screen. It's a graphic of usability, accessibility, and inclusivity. Usability has a picture of someone, like a picture of a hand with their index finger up, tapping something. Accessibility has the wheelchair universal sign, and inclusivity is a picture of like the map, I guess the world, the globe, with like a bunch of little icons of people all over it. And these are like little icons. So, first we're going to talk about accessibility and making the choice to be accessible and then defining what that means for your team or yourself. Then we're going to talk about the 7 principles of universal design. If this is not your first time with us and you've done the CPAC with all of us, this is going to be a review as far as the 7 principles of universal design. We're not going to go very deep in it because we already kind of talked about it. And if you would like to go deep yourself, we have the resources for you to If you're following the WAS body of knowledge, there should be probably some links in there about it, or you can Google it if you want to go a little bit deeper. We're going to define some accessibility barriers and also talk about accessible design examples. So, real world examples and figurative examples. We're going to talk a little bit about objective and subjective accessibility, which is, I can't wait to talk about it. It's just something, it's a nice way to frame things and think about things, I think. Then we're going to talk about designing. Also, if you see any if you see anything that's misspelled, don't come for me. I don't know how to spell, and it's okay. Designing for different disabilities. And then we're going to pick a website to roast or to praise. And we're going to kind of use what we learned to think about whether or not what we're looking at is accessible. JMC Sorrel said spelling's overrated. I agree. I mean, something else I wanted to bring up to everybody before we jump in, and it's something that I've been thinking about and something I've been researching, is I feel like I'm super inclusive with explaining everything that's on the screen for those who can't see it, but I am doing a disservice kind of for anybody who would want to watch live because we don't have any captions. So I just wanted to like say on camera so that it's real that if not by next stream, the stream after that, I will have live captions. A few of the projects that I wanted to work are deprecated and no longer up. That made it easy to do that. So I have to figure out like how to do captions. If anyone knows how to do captions and in a way that's very easy and not the way that I just like spent this morning looking up, which took like many, many steps in OBS and all kinds of other things, please let us know. Send me like, put something in the chat, send me a link. I don't know. But that's something that I would really like to work on. All right, let's talk about the first step, in my opinion, of accessibility and inclusive design. I would say that first, we need to make the choice to be accessible, right? And then we need to talk about what that means for me or my team. So I want to highlight that because you could just be like, yeah, let's work on accessibility. And then it's kind of hodgepodge. You're like picking things from different areas. Really, the first part is planning, having those areas that you're looking at really defined with those parameters. And today we're going to have that blueprint of how to do that. So before we get into accessible design specifically as it pertains to like the web, we're going to talk about the 7 principles of universal design. So before we even start that, does anybody remember what some of these principles are?
Did you want me to answer?
You can if you remember. I'm also waiting on the chat. I know somebody in here remembers.
I remember a couple. I remember flexibility and use being one of them.
Carrie Keon said equitable use, simple and intuitive.
Good.
Low physical effort. Oh, do you know all of them?
Ooh, right. Get it.
Good quiz taking. Oh, CPAC tomorrow. Yeah, so that's what we use. We use the chat kind of for a space repetition and kind of quizzing ourselves. So that's why I give you all the opportunity to do that. We should have also went over some of the stuff that we went over last time first. Forgot to do that, but it's all good. Carrie said perceptible info. I feel like I don't remember that one. Tolerance of error. Let's see. So equitable use is the first one. Yep. Carrie also said size and space for approach and use. Okay. All right. So we got equitable use. So that means everyone can use it, right? Kind of. All sorts of people can use it is how I would kind of say that one. I could be wrong though. Let's Google it. It's Google time.
Right. Study group time.
Yeah. Equitable use principle design. The design is useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. Okay, I think that sounds about right. So everyone can use me. Okay. Then we have flexibility in user. I think I was supposed to put flexibility in use.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that it can be used in many different ways depending on how the person needs to use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kathy said, went through this recently but still couldn't remember. I don't have them memorized. I'm going to keep it real. Simple and intuitive use. So this means that it's easy to use. You don't have to make any cognitive leaps. Muscle memory. So this is when we talk about your fancy JavaScript or React or whatever your frameworks that you're using, and you're like, I want to make this cool cutting edge website. But now it's super hard to use because you have to do things that you don't normally have to do on a website when it comes to navigation and all that other stuff. Carrie said, yeah, flexibility equals left or right handed use, adjustable height, example, right, right. Perceptible info. Oh, came for me. You definitely said that, Carrie, and I was like, I don't remember that. But perceptible info just means that however your senses, whichever senses you are using to use whatever the website is, you can actually use those senses to understand what's on the page. And I remember that because Dorlin said that. And I thought that was a really good way of saying that. Is that exactly what you said, Dorlin?
I sure don't remember. Sounds good.
I think my example was if you can't see it, you can hear it. If you can't hear it, you can see it. If you can't see or hear it, you can touch it using a braille display or something like that. But really, however you, whatever senses you have to participate, you're able to do that. Tolerance of error. Tamzing Wing said equitable. Everyone gets the same info or can achieve the same results, but it may be provided in different ways. Perfect. Perfect. Tolerance of error. Tolerance of error means if I accidentally do something wrong, I don't completely crash the system or completely get myself in a pickle that I can't get myself out of. Um, that it's not easy to make an error, that my error can be changed easily. And right now I'm just kind of spitballing from what I remember. So anybody who's a little bit more fresh than me, feel free to put this in the chat and provide us with a little bit more clarity. We appreciate your service. Truly. All right. Low physical effort. So that means whatever we're doing, however well, yes. Okay. One of these principles, I think you can't use it in web design or something like that. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Do you guys remember that? I thought it was going to be low
Which one?
physical effort, but I think low physical effort is like if someone cannot use a mouse or cannot use a XYZ, they can use a keyboard, which may take less energy. If someone, however they are using things, it's not taking overt amounts of energy to sustain whatever it is that they need to do. Huh?
I feel like this one also applies to like this one is one of the ones that I always think of like the handles, like the lever handles versus a knob. You know, that lever handle takes a lot less physical effort than the knob takes
Mm-hmm.
to turn. Um, but I think yours for the digital world's a good one.
Okay. Size and space for approach. Do we remember how this one is? Is this the one that is not for the web? Ooh, okay, Carrie. Carrie says, I've heard people say size and space for approach and use doesn't apply to web, but I disagree. I think that applies to things like large click targets and space between elements.
Hmm.
Do you know what? um, wow.
I
Hey,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it for sure. They say size and space for approach and use is stuff like making sure doorways are wide enough. You know what? Yes, I'm on your bandwagon. I'm gonna start telling that to people. Say Carrie told me, and they were right. That's actually quite brilliant, and I like that a lot. I'll keep that with me. So as far as size and space for approach, I'm repeating this for myself. Um, it applies to things like large click targets and space between elements. Okay. I'm into it. Okay, let's get into the close her said that it's a great point. It is. It actually really is. Jam Sorl says here's a good site with definitions, a buffalo.edu link. And I'm going to take this link and put it. Oh, why is it not letting me copy? Okay, Dorlin, I'm sending this to you in case you want to check it out and save it for yourself.
Cool.
I'm going to put it in Video Ninja. All right. All right. Before we get started with this one, let's talk about examples of web accessibility barriers. Let's do it. I know you guys, I know everybody here has something to say about it. I assume. So what are some examples of web accessibility barriers off the top of your head? Is the question. What's the first one you can think of, Dorlin?
Not keyboard operable.
Oof, big one. All right, one I think of off the top of my head is no headings. Or headings that don't make sense and they're just used for styling purposes. Kathy Code said, stuff like color contrast? Yes. That's a huge one. The Close Her said video autoplay.
Oof, yeah.
Aped Rerose said Fitz Laws is about that. I'm assuming, I don't know what you're talking about. If you want to elaborate, let us know. CJ Dream said no focus. Yep. So no focus, visual focus around things. That's a pretty big one. And a lot of times that's just because someone removed the native ability to do that due to styling purposes. But y'all know you can make focus rings beautiful. If you ask me, you can make them look interesting, right? CJ Dream said no alt text, as did Aper Rerose. JM said keyboard traps. Kathy Codes, ooh, images of text. Today I saw one of those in the wild while auditing. And I was like, no images of text. All right. Thanks for participating. All right, let's see what we're going to have on here. Yep, someone already said it. Poor contrast. People with limited vision or color blindness cannot read text if there is not enough contrast between the text and backgrounds. For example, light gray text on light color background. And I'm going to be showing y'all some examples of this. Color contrast might be the number one thing that I notice as a user when it's off a little bit. And I think it's one of those things people just don't know, to think about color contrast. But once you know about it, the web becomes like a playground of just roast festingness, however you want to call it. But it's like, oh man, another one. JM said tables used for layout but not marked as presentation.
Oh my gosh, it's like you've been along there with me auditing this week. Yeah.
You can tell like the person who like really this must be their job or their, you know what I mean? That's such a specific one. Yeah, exactly. That's a big one. All right. Use of color alone. Use of color alone, my favorite statistic that we learned, I knew this one, but we learned it for the CPAC. Do you all remember how many men are colorblind? What percentage or what ratio of men and what ratio of women are colorblind? Carrie Keon said 1 in 8. Kathy Coe said 10%. Do you remember, Dorlin?
I remember it being 1 in 12 men of like European descent
Yes.
and 1 in 200 women.
Yes.
And then the other numbers for other groups being lower than those.
Right, right. So when I was doing occupational therapy, I found out, like by accident, many times that the person I was working with, especially if they were a kid under the age of 10, that they were colorblind. And a lot of times people don't notice until you start, like, you work with a child long enough and you're like, why does this child get these specific, like, colors wrong, or not understanding when I'm telling them to look at something. That's really interesting. How, they can't tell you that they can't see it because they just don't notice. They're just like, what are you talking about? It was interesting. Use of color alone to give information. So that's why we don't do that, because someone who may be colorblind doesn't have access to the information. If you say click the blue ball or all the things highlighted in green, no, it needs to be all the things highlighted in green and have a star next to it, right? So there's more than a color that's distinguishing what you want from the other things. Um, Also, screen readers do not tell the user that the color of a text is on a screen. So if a person is blind, they wouldn't know that the color is meant to convey a certain information. Now, I learned this from Dorlin. Apparently, you can use there's a certain way to finesse JAWS, which is a screen reader, to tell you if something's bold, has color. What else?
You can get a whole bunch of data from it, but it's unfortunately not always accurate, I've learned. But it's a pretty good base of telling things. But you can tell like font info, color sometimes, especially if it's like, or if it's a custom color, I think is when it starts to get a little thrown off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's different in different applications and things like that. But generally, yeah, I can like hit a command and have it tell me some of that data. At the very least, like font type and size.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually change your screen reader to read differently when there's like emphasized text and stuff. So like the voice pitch might drop a little bit or something. And so people can really customize their screen readers to convey a lot of information. And so making sure all that stuff is programmatically determinable is going to allow the screen reader then to convey that info.
Mm-hmm. Okay. An example of that would be using red text alone to show which fields are required on a form, by the way. Something that pops up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. All right, lack of text alternatives. Lack of text alternatives on images. An oldie but a goodie, right? A classic. The first thing we learn usually that everyone
Yeah.
can implement in a way. One simple thing
Yeah.
I think that would, make the world a better place is more alt text on photos. We don't have to go too deep in that. All right, let me check on the chat. I see my guy RoboDom's in the building. They say, hey everyone, hope everyone is doing well. JMC Sorrel put, here's one of my favorite color testing tools for how color will be perceived by different types of color blindness. And the link is a missshelf.ca link. You want it, Dorlin? Well, I guess
Yeah, sure.
I just thought about it, like, you won't be able to see it if it's like a visual thing, but I'll send it to you just in case.
Yeah.
Maybe they have
Fair.
something.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I know color contrast analyzer is accessible. I don't really use it. I let Africa do that.
Yeah. I'm the person who looks at color and stuff and whether or not the layout of the page looks correct. Dorlin does the
And I
heavy
get into the
lifting.
nitty gritty.
Yeah, I'm like, you go deep where I cannot go. Let's see what else. Tams said earlier the size and space for approach and use of UD principle is also a consideration for the acts for accessing the digital environment, like whether a digital sign in kiosk can be reached by someone in a wheelchair. Yeah. You know what?
Ooh,
Yes.
I like that.
Hey Robodom. Robodom says hello Africa and Dorlin. Good to see you
Hey,
here.
hey.
Okie dokie. Yeah, we can no longer say that size and space is not for the web, y'all. We got two very clear examples of how it could be used, and yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. They're starting to put like touch screens into elevator or like digital things into elevators as well. And I'm thinking like the height of where that thing's gonna be is gonna um I don't know, there's just digital things going all over in the physical world now.
Right,
Like
right.
that kiosk example just like blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of other examples now. Cool.
Tam said I use it. The web aim contrast checker is a fantastic tool for checking color ratios. Yeah, it is. It is.
Hmm.
Robo said, I've been guilty of not adding alt text to images. You know, I feel you. Sometimes I forget, and I'm only human, but I try to remember. Um, and I was thinking this morning, and I felt guilty for thinking it, but it was a valid thought for myself to like show how I'll say what I was thinking and then what I thought after, but I was doing the flyer for this stream and it has a lot of text on it. So I was like, "Ugh, I got to write the alt text for this and taking so long, blah, blah, blah." I was just like, I wasn't actually annoyed. I was just like, "Ugh, it's just taking so long." And it made me think about the fact of like if that was the norm, if that was expected, something that we just learned like from the beginning, like, hey, alt text on your stuff, it wouldn't really be that much of an extra, stretch to do. It's just a random thought I had.
Just baked in.
Yeah.
Also with like all this AI technology now, like, you send your next flyer through that, and then just make sure like you ask enough questions to get it precise enough to have, chat GPT or whatever writing your alt text for you where you've got the text and the important parts coming through. You can always edit it down if there's too much detail or something too.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think there's a lot of opportunity with that to make good alt text now too. Or for those who like find it very arduous, like, oh, I don't know how to describe this,
Mm-hmm.
run it through that and ta-da.
Yeah. Kathy said it's nice that some social media networks prompt you to add alt text before posting. Which ones?
Cool. I love that.
All right. We got three more, I think, that we're going to talk about. No captions on videos, self explanatory. Uh, Look at me, shame, no captions on this stream because I'm trying to figure it out. It's way more complicated than I expected and requires some time, so I need to just set aside the time to do it. But luckily for those who are going to watch us afterwards, there are captions on YouTube and they're actually pretty good. Dorlin, guess which one I'm gonna say next?
Oh, is it keyboard operability?
No, but
I don't know. We just did alt text. I feel like that's one of my first go-tos too. I don't know. I'm at a loss. What have I done
inaccessible online forms.
yet? Oh no.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah,
Drives me crazy.
people with disabilities may not be able to fill out, understand, and accurately submit forms without things like what, Dorlin, before I say it.
Mm, accurate labels that are programmatically tied to where they need to be, um, using correct elements and everything. Um, Gosh, using your semantic form elements is so important.
Hmm.
The people who try to make their new elements, I feel like they're very rarely done well.
Right.
But really get those labels in there.
So, chat, before I move on to reveal it, does anyone want to try their hand at thinking of how a form could be inaccessible, whether it be for someone with cognitive disability, someone who's using a screen reader. Um, what are some things that may be a barrier? Hmm. CJ said no labels. No labels. Yeah. So when we say no
Right.
labels, we mean if I'm in a form field, an edit box that says next to it address, and then I get into the edit box and it doesn't really say anything, then am I really in the address edit box if I can't see that next to it it says address? Uh, Kathy said timeout, error messages not descripted. Yes, if I'm filling out a form and
Mm.
it tells me that I got 5 minutes left, but it doesn't read it to my screen reader or it puts it somewhere that I don't notice it. That's problematic. JM said the ways errors are handled, right? So if an error is not telling me how to fix something or it's telling me like it's not being read to me, uh, and more Pearl said keyboard access. Yeah, I want to be able to navigate with my tab and arrow keys through each of the form fields without getting in a keyboard trap or skipping over it. Carrie said lack of grouping field sets. Yep, we talk about that. We talked about that with
Oof.
labels and inputs, or even like if you have a group of something, saying that it's a list, collapsible things. CJ said just a line for the form field, right? Just a line for the form field. No, we need a box. Hopefully. Uh, B Turner, first time in the chat. What's up? Um, B Turner said progress tracker. Oh, I never thought about that one. Hmm, that one's a good thing to think about. It's not WCAG, which is our web content accessibility guidelines that we try to follow, but it's something good to think about, especially if it's a long form. Amor said no formatting cues to avoid error. Carrie said state of elements not being communicated like check boxes. Yes.
That is a good one.
Oh man. Love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Specifically, right? Um, the close her said placeholder text in the input. Oh
Right.
yeah.
Because that's going to disappear when you tab into it, and then
Mm-hmm. And then you're not gonna know what it
the label's
says.
gone.
Mm-hmm. Amor Puri said like how to enter a phone number. Mm-hmm. Right. B Turner said, hey, hey. Tams said, or it doesn't give you time to extend the timeout. Yes. Oh my goodness. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm like, so what was the point of this? Just kick me out then. Gosh. And Moore said, no warning of change of context. Wow. All right. Y'all went in. Thank you. Let's see what they say. What are they going to tell us? All right. Nailed it. Labels that screen readers can convey to their users, such as text that reads credit card number, where that number should be entered. Clear instructions, so instructions that we can actually follow and understand, and error indicators, such as alerts telling the user a form field is missing or incorrect. Great. Tam said, sorry, I mean a way to extend the timeout. Yep, 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 yep. All right, the last one, and these are not, you know, an exhaustive list. Mouse only navigation, lack of keyboard navigation. This one is my personal favorite. Something about auditing and finding that something's not keyboard accessible is extremely satisfying to me in a way that I cannot explain. But I mean, like satisfying in that I found it and that I could be like, you need to do this. Not that it's happening. All right.
Usually infuriating to me in that I'm like, wait, what area exists?
Yeah, the funniest thing about me and Dorlin working together is when she goes over all the stuff that she found because we touch all like where we work together. We take leads on certain things, but she finds things that I never could have found or thought about, and then I'll find things that she just can't verify. But the funniest part is when she's navigating through, and I'm like, wait, that skipped like this whole thing. It's just like, what? That was there. Oh man. Exactly. That's the point though, because it's like you don't even know that you're missing something. You're just like, something doesn't add up. Like, I feel like I've skipped something, but how am I going to know that? Right?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about designing for web accessibility examples. We talked about the barriers. We're going to look really specifically at some examples. And if ever you want a resource that is a real resource and not just somebody talking out there, whatever, use W3C. Okay? So we're going to
Yep.
go to w3.org and click on it right now. Bam. Open me up. And you open me up in Chrome? No, we're not using Chrome anymore. I just realized this is in Chrome. Whatever, we'll use it for now. But DuckDuckGo is my new web browser. This is a commercial for... No, I'm just kidding. All right. Should be in here somewhere.
Well, I'm gonna go to Google Chrome. Shoot.
We gotta do a little test on whether or not this is actually accessible.
Yeah, that's a. I need to type up a list of homework of things I need to go check on the accessibility of.
So long. We need a running list.
I'll make a list. When I go back to listen to all these videos, I'm gonna make a list as I go through.
You know what we should do? We should do a shared notes. Oh, yes. Because then whenever I upload like a website or something, you'll get the notification, and whenever you put something in, and we just have a running list forever. Amazing. You're doing it.
Forever. That's how long it will
go. All right. So here's the site. I'm going to send it over to y'all in the chat. Join me there if you'd like, or save it for yourself to look at later. And I will also send this to you, Dorlin, right now. Why isn't it working?
We'll need to find a way to make sure these links are accessible later to folks who can't see the chat in the videos, like maybe adding them to the chat in the YouTube or like the comments YouTube or
I was thinking about
notes.
Doing a Google Docs. Actually, let me just do it now.
But I've thought about that because I think there's been at least once where I've closed out our like Video Ninja without going into the chat and saving those links. And then since we're not repeating them like character by character here, I wasn't sure how I'd get back to them.
Okay, so this is called Study Group Stream Links. And what is this? It looks weird. I'm going to put week 2. And gotta make sure I do my headings. This is going to be our heading number 2. And here's the link. And then our heading number 1 will be study group, Alley study group. How does a screen reader read that? Ugh, I don't even.
Read what?
So I say Alley, the A11Y.
Oh, it says A11Y.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish it said Alley, but then that'd be confusing too. It needs to say A11Y. It's not as snazzy for us screen reader users, but
I'm going to just put accessibility for that sake.
I mean, I think all of the screen reader users recognize A11Y pretty quickly. I mean, I think that's actually a pretty common term to be said out loud too, A11Y.
Okay.
Right? No, is that just...
I've seen people argue online that the word alley is not accessible. And I'm not
yeah, I can see that argument.
What do you all think? All right, I'm going to put all the links in here now. And then I'm going to send you the Google Doc. And then I'm going to put this Google Doc in the chat as well for everyone else.
Actually, when I was trying to come up with my username for Discord or whatever, I played around with Ali Dorlan, but the way it read A11Y Dorlan, like, just didn't sound quite right. It was clunky. It was just like going with Dorlan. We'll figure it out. I think I went with Dorlan anyway.
All right, here we have it. I'm going to put share, save, and anyone with the link can view it. Here it is in the chat, my friends. And here you are, Dorlan.
Cool.
So this will be easier. Just like save it somewhere. Actually, I'm gonna add you as someone who can you can add stuff to this as an editor. So I sent you that.
Cool.
All right,
All
my
that being
friends.
said about Ali, when I hear A11Y, I still kind of like it. So I don't want anyone who has it in their name. Like, I still like it. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm honestly
That's
happy to
just
hear
personal.
that.
I like how A11Y sounds. Like, I think in my head, I kind of translate back and forth, and I don't know, I'm not mad at it. But I see where people who find it inaccessible, where they're coming from.
Right. So Kathy said, I added the links to the Discord during stream, and typically someone, because y'all are awesome, someone usually puts the links into our Discord. However, I do acknowledge and understand that Discord is not for everyone. It can be confusing to navigate, but there are a lot of us in there who are active. So at least those who are active who are can go back and get those. But you also can get this group study link here. I will also put this in the Discord. All right. Also, if you're new and you're just now hearing about the Discord is the best way to keep up with what we're doing when I'm streaming and all of our information all in one place. It's also a good place to hang out with other people who are very passionate about accessibility, to ask questions, look up jobs, and get resources. So if you need the link for the Discord, just let me know in the chat and I'll just put it in the chat since you're here with us. Oh my gosh, that is actually really cute, but would sound weird, kind of weird, I think. But Amor Puri said, "What about Doralian?" Like Dorlin? Isn't that cute? That's
How's
cute.
that? Let me see. I need to
It's
see how
like
that.
Dora 11YN.
Oh my gosh,
It looks cute at least. Dora
that's so
Lynn.
funny because there's so many people that try and put an A in my name anyway. I kind of love that. I'm gonna see how my screen reader reads that.
Okay. Tam said in the Word doc, keep the title left aligned. People using Zoom text can miss things that are over on the right. Oh, thank you. That's very good to know. I never thought about that. I'll start doing that actually. I appreciate you telling me that, Tams. Tams
Cool.
also said or magnifying tools. Oh, I see. Okay. Or magnifying tools. Yeah. Robodom said that's clever about Dorlin.
Mm-hmm. Or even a braille display on the if something's too far to the right, it might be like on this, you might have to pan to the second chunk of cells, but feeling a blank line, you might just think, oh, blank line, let me go down to the next one.
Right. Good to know.
Oh, I like that.
All right, so right now I'm on the Designing for Web Accessibility W3C, which is the Web Accessibility Initiative. Are people who, are doing the thing, they do the WCAG. These are our guys, all right? If you're seeing something on here, it's right. That's all I'm going to say. There are certain websites that I can't think of off the top of my mind, but they look like, accessibility websites, but sometimes the information's wrong or it's not accessible themselves. One of them is something that comes up all the time if you look up accessibility. I can't remember the name of it, and I'm not going to get into it right now. But if I think of it, I will let you know. All right. So what I want to show you specifically on this page are some concrete examples of some of the things we just talked about. So first, let's talk about providing sufficient contrast. And I'm going to make this a lot bigger so that we can all see. Okay. So here's an example of a paragraph with gray text on white versus black on white. Um, do we think that black on white is the most optimal contrast ratio in general? Even though this is a lot more better to look at. I'm not saying that black on white is bad either, but what would be better for contrast and our eyes and readability. So this isn't really about contrast, it's more about what is easiest to read for many people, but not everyone, because we know no one is a monolith. Do you know the answer, Dorlin? I think we've talked about it on stream. So B Turner 09 said it'll be harsh
Mm.
on the eyes. Yes, so white on black and black on white are both things that can be kind of harsh on the eyes. And Mortori said white can be harsh. Yeah. So a better color would be what? For those who it matters to.
Mm.
Yeah, Kathy said Liz's cream color, which is a perfect opportunity to show you what that looks like. Um,
Nice.
I'm so proud of her website. It's allystudygroup.com. I'll put it in
Oh,
the chat. She has like four different color colors in the chat and also in our study group. Where did I put it? Is it in here? No, it's not. Gotta get to it. I can hear your screen reader.
You can hear my screen reader?
Maybe because I like know exactly what it sounds like. I'm like, there it goes. It's like very low. Not in a bad way. I mean more
Oh,
like I can hear it.
is the chat? Are you guys in the chat hearing my screen reader jabber away?
It's not that loud. All
You
right.
know, sometimes I've got it routed into one ear. Sometimes maybe you're hearing it.
Nah, Kathy said
Maybe I need
that
to sit back.
they can't hear it. It's just me being extra, I guess.
You've got like that super sensitive hearing for jaws and screen readers.
Really, I think I do. All right, so this is black on white. Currently, I'm showing the Alley group, black on white. We also notice, so these are some interesting things to look at. Look at this text and how it looks. It's so chunky that you can't really read it. So these are probably just things. This website isn't finished. Anyone can help Liz with this. It's open source. So if you want to help her with it, feel free to go to Discord and just write in there that you want to help out. But otherwise, it's being worked on. But this is some good feedback that maybe we have to think about a different font of some sort because it is kind of blurry on my end at least. Her light
Well,
theme.
so it's telling me also that the font, and this is me trying to use JAWS to interpret this, so I don't know if it's accurate,
Mm-hmm.
but it's telling me that it is Times New Roman. And so that's a serif font, and sans serif fonts are easier to read. Do I
Hmm.
have that backwards? No, because the serifs are the little decorations or whatever. So sans is without them.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know if that's a Times New Roman or if that's just what JAWS is interpreting it as. Because again,
I don't
sometimes
think
I
is this
don't know how it's doing it.
okay, yes, Sansar. Is this Sansar? Is this Roman times? I feel like this is not Roman times, or it's like a
Times New
version of it.
Roman.
Times New Roman. Um, I don't. Chat. Is this Times New Roman? So this one's Times New Roman, right? But is this? This isn't though. So the navigation area is not Times New Roman. No, and I feel like
Oh, let
this
me go
might
up
not
there.
be either, but it could be, possibly.
Yeah, no, that's bold Alita in the navigation area,
Okay.
I think.
So bold Alita. We're gonna have
Alita? Let
to
me see how that's
do
spelled.
that.
I don't know what that is.
All right, let's move on for the sake of time.
Yeah,
Or we're gonna be here
we can
forever.
get we can
That's the
get distracted so easily.
problem. I'm like,
Sorry,
all
guys.
these things deserve an hour.
It's
Lolita.
true. Oh,
Robodom's. What happened?
oh, I was just realizing it was Lolita as well. Lilita,
That's what Kathy put in
which
here.
I think, yeah.
Robodom said it's very straightforward site, only uses HTML and CSS. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is a super vanilla site. So makes
Hmm.
it easier to even help
I
with
love
that.
it. I can totally read it.
hmm So I love this web page because it has all the links of basically all the links that you need to understand color contrast or all the things we're going to talk about. It also has a user story, someone with color blindness and their experience on the web. It gives you a link on how to check for contrast ratios, and then it gives you a list of tools to help determine contrast ratios. If you don't save this, y'all, save it. Take it out the Google Doc or take it out the chat and save this link and come back to it. So even me, like I'm gonna come back to this because I love how they've given all of these resources, and we're gonna get to look at some of these users as well. Kathy said, "Saved, yes." All right, don't use color alone to convey information. All right, so we learned about that, right? We understand it, but what does it look like? Because I think sometimes seeing a visual, for those who are visual learners at least, is helpful for you to determine or find it yourself in the wild, right? So here we have color only. Required fields are in red. All right, my guy, I can't see the color red. Now what? Right? All right. So over here we have required fields are in red and marked with an asterisk. The asterisk will never change, you'll never need to know what color something is to see an asterisk. The red is helpful for those who can see red to highlight it further, right? But it's not the only defining characteristic of this page. Important. Here's another example. Which is the right angled triangle? And then there's a bunch of triangles of different colors, and you answer which one is the right one, right? That leaves out 1 in 12 men, apparently. Carrie said, one of my devs came up with this great mnemonic. Color alone equals meaning unknown. Spread the word.
Color alone equals meaning unknown.
I like
I
it.
like it. It rhymes.
B Turner said,
Make
I
mnemonics.
like that. So right here it shows the same thing except it says green and it has the number 1, right? So I know if I see 1, it's green. So these are a better way of answering that question. Right? And then we got all of our links right here. All right, next we're going to ensure that interactive elements are easy to identify. So we want to provide distinct styles for interactive elements like links and buttons to make sure they're easy to identify, right? So this is where our either UX designers with no accessibility experience or are just our designers in general, they may take that out of the equation based off of how it looks. So sometimes it can be clunky and not look that great, right? If we keep things native, but instead of getting rid of it, just make it better, right? That would be my suggestion. So, style links stand out from text. We need to know which things are actually navigable and is a link. It's helpful, right? It's helpful. So if I go here, I'm going to press tab. Ooh, oh, snap. This is actually usable. My bad, y'all. Just got excited for no reason. All right. Let's see. Huh. I guess I can't do that, but whatever. Huh. So what I was trying to do was tab into this link right here. Oh, I just realized it's not a link. That's why. Okay, I forgive them then. It's not an actual link. But what happens when I go over this keyboard to navigate link, which is what I'm looking at, is it gets highlighted in yellow. So I know that it's something that is interactive. Something's happening to distinguish that it's interactive, right? If I touch or click something, I want to make sure that something's happening so that I understand that. Does that make sense? Dorlin?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes, absolutely.
All right. I uh
Very
I
helpful
want to
for that
get
to
better.
change so you know.
Okay, good. I want to get better at being descriptive. Sometimes I struggle with that, so I just want to make sure that I'm making sense. All right.
Mhm.
Again, we have some links here. Focus visible. These are the WCAG standards. You click on this and you will have everything you need to know about it. I think this is where people get overwhelmed when we're first learning because there's so much, right, to click on and learn more about. But this is the nature of what we're doing, and we're going to do it together. So there we go. Then we have a user story about someone with limited ability to use a mouse. Oh, can't wait to read about that one. And then challenges faced by older users with hand tremors. Another really good one. Really, really good one.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Provide clear and consistent navigation options. What does that mean, Dorlin?
Clear and consistent navigation options.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping, oh my goodness, we had an issue with some consistent. Oh, we had a thought experiment earlier this week, but clear and everything. If you're going through a web page, every time you're going to the next thing, it should say next instead of changing that each time or something.
Right? It
Um,
also means that it has consistent, like she said, naming, styling, and
mhm,
positioning. So if I am, let's say I'm going to this is my blog, africakenya.com. Um, and up here I have navigation, right? So if I go to another page, well, this is not a good example because if I go to this navigation here is just taking you to another place, to another link. So it's not taking me to the same thing. A better example would be let's go to yourstretchbreak.com, which is one of my websites that I'm building and trying to make accessible, and we'll be doing that together. Not literally you helping me do this, but everyone's going to be working on their own thing, right? And this is one of the ones I'm going to work on. Oh, and you see, look at that. So you can't see it, but Dorlin on my web page, which please don't go on it and roast me, you because it's not like completely fixed all the way.
oh, I
Okay.
I just opened a new
No,
tab.
no,
You're
please stop
lucky.
it. No. Okay.
Oh,
we're
oh,
gonna we're gonna fix this. Sorry,
I'm gonna
y'all.
open it. I'm not gonna
No,
broach
oh
you.
my
How about that?
gosh. I'm
I
so
have to hear it.
ashamed. Anyways,
Oh, I must have done it. You're lucky. I typed in something wrong. It says it can't be reached. So
perfect.
go ahead.
So as you can see, if I when I'm going through my interactive stuff, it changes color and it's highlighted. If I click on something here, my navigation, oh snap, this is broken, y'all. I'm dead. This is a good example of what not to do actually.
There
Um,
you go. That's how
so
you determined it or wanted it to be, right?
yes, so my navigation actually is over here now. It shouldn't be. It should be where it was supposed to be, but I see something with my CSS got messed up, and I haven't worked on this in over 8 months. So if I go to my stretch collection, it's gonna ask me to sign in, right? And it goes back to the page that it's supposed to look at. Takes me to the login page. I'm crying. Oh my gosh, this is worse than okay. That's good. It's supposed to take me to the login page. All right. Something weird is happening, I think, because now it looks okay. But at least you have an example of one where it changes, and that's not consistent, and that happens in a lot of web pages. But in general, it should be doing what's happening right now. I'm pressing sign up. Nothing changes. My navigation is the same and predictable. I know where to go. Okay. If you haven't seen my website, um, it's somewhat accessible, but here's where I fail. And this is such a big fail that like it It makes me mad because I just haven't had time to go in here and fix it because there's like 80 images. But you can start a timer. I have no clue if this is auto updating or not with the screen reader. I haven't really worked on this since I started working as a full-time auditor. So like now I'm noticing even more things that I like really need to work on, and I'm excited to try to fix that. But I start the timer. I pick I pick a stretch. So first you start the timer, then you choose a body part to stretch. There's eyes, necks, shoulders, and hands. You can click or select each of these, and then let's do eyes. It says hold or gently move through each pose for 3 to 5 breaths. The first thing that comes up is me doing something called eye palming, where you put together your hands and you rub them until they get nice and warm, and then you place them on your eyes for a few deep breaths. However, there is no alt text on this, y'all, so no one would know to do this at all if they were using my website and couldn't see what's on the screen. So that is a huge fail. So this is a great example of stuff not to do, right? I'm sure I have like alt text on these photos of a man sitting at a computer that says less pain, more coding, right? I know that I did time for a break with a woman sitting at the little desk. I got that done. I know that my heading structures are okay, but the two pieces of information that require like that are the whole point of the web page don't work for anyone who can't see what's on the screen. All right, so let's move on from my shame and go on to the next thing, which is ensuring that form elements include clearly associated labels. Okay, so if you have a website, by the way, if you're here with us live and you have a website that you want us to look at, please put it in the chat because we're going to actually look at it. Whether it's your website that you created or a website that you frequently or your favorite website or the website that you hate the most, please give us somebody give us something to roast or to praise or to just look at. We would appreciate it because I don't want to always use I use my project as a base level like example of things because it's my little project. RoboDom said I don't have courage to post my website. Oh my goodness. Kathy said for more than one way, the fact that the footer and the header have the same navigation links, that does not count, correct? Um, so for mine, it had the same links. And that makes it somewhat okay. But and I want to say for the WCAG purposes that it would probably be fine because no one would know if they couldn't see what was on there. It would still give you the same information. But if we want to go above and beyond, like a part of that is definitely visually for visual people to have it in the same spot. So there's no question of like where I'm going. BT Turner said, I know my website would absolutely get roasted. Listen, y'all, if I'm on here roasting my own self, like, don't let me be alone, please. You don't have to show me your website, though. Just send me, like, any website. I don't care. We roasted Beyonce, and I will never forget that because after we roasted her, I'm not saying that we were the change that we wanted to see or anything, but, like, literally a month later, her website was better, and she got sued for accessibility stuff. But anyways, all right. Let's talk about labels and input field associated by proximity. Someone please send us a website. If you've never interacted with the chat and you want to interact with the chat, just throw us a link. Throw us a bone. It doesn't have to be your own website, but Karina just sent us one.
Okay.
We'll look at it at the end. What were you going to say, darling?
Right. Oh, I was just going to say I have a suggestion for one, like a survey I know of that's online that's completely accessible. So I assume it's done well that we could go on to show an example, but
okay, which website is that?
But that's not roasting. Well, it's just a little survey that what's it called? All right, so go to surveymonkey.com/r/NLS.
Surveymonkey.com /
R as in Romeo / then NLS
NLS
Braille on demand.
Braille on demand.
So this is a survey. I use this like this week to order a book that will be sent to me later this month in hard copy Braille. You guys all know my obsession with Braille. And it's like 7 questions on this survey. And there's, I believe, a radio. There might not be a checkbox. There's definitely a radio button, a couple things, but it's all accessible. There should be place, like you should have labels on all of it. And I'm curious how it looks to you, because obviously I'm not, and most of the folks using this survey are probably not, well, actually, a lot of low vision people using it, a lot of people with magnification too, I'm sure. But curious how it looks. I can use it.
It looks fine to me. We're gonna come back to this. Actually, I think it's time for a 5-minute break. When we get back, we're going to look at labels in form fields. Then we're gonna look at providing error messages, headings and spacing, and then creating things for different viewport sizes. And I think that's about it before we actually look at some websites. And then we're going to talk briefly about disabilities and their experience on the web and how they use the web. Before we leave, CJ Dream said, I'm remediating my company's website, but I'm nervous to show y'all. You don't have to be nervous. You don't have to show it to us here. If you want to not do it at a public, this is pretty public. So if you want to put it in Discord instead, for everyone here who doesn't want to get roasted live, first of all, I would never roast anyone's website who's here with me in the chat. I would never do that. I would just be like, hey, these are some things to consider, just so you know. I only roast huge companies because they should, you know what I mean? They deserve it. If they're not actively if they know, and if they're not actively trying to fix it. I'm the big corporations who millions of people are using your website, it should be a consideration. All right, so we're gonna take 5 minutes because usually we need at least a little bit of a break to refresh ourselves. If you want to grab coffee or stretch, I'm gonna stretch and wiggle around a little bit. I'm gonna put some jams on for y'all. We'll be back in exactly 5 minutes. Alrighty, friends. See you soon.
Perfect. Bye.
on.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're on.
Welcome back.
What's up, y'all? Okay, it's 5:20, and we usually go on till either
Eastern time.
6 Eastern time. 6 would be 2 hours. Sometimes we do 2.5 hours. And when we're feeling real rowdy, we do 3. Um, so we're gonna go until 6 and then reevaluate how much we want to do. We might not finish, but I would like to. So we might go through a few things kind of fast, but the next thing I don't want to go through very fast because it's important. Also, remember what we're doing now is kind of like this is an overview, and we're gonna continue to come back to this, continue to come back to these principles because we're gonna actually be building. So, just to remember, we might not go deep in anything right now, but we're still gonna actually literally make it. So we're gonna come back to these. All right, let's go back to our page. Also, if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know so we can stop and talk about them. All right, so one of my favorite topics is, where am I? Labels and input fields associated by proximity. Why, you ask? Because a lot of times people don't think about the fact that your email in this form that I'm currently on needs to be programmatically determined within this area. And if you want an example of that for the web developers in the room, let's go over to this page, which is our Section 508 for our US people. Section 508 is that law, the digital web accessibility law that the government themselves has to kind of follow. So I'm going to put that in the chat, and I'm going to put it in our little study group links. Right? So this is what they call their, what is this even called? Do they have Guide to Accessible Web Design Development? So I like this because it talks about what we're already talking about, but it kind of like give you a bunch of links so that you can go to the topics. So we're going to go to the topic of forms. And in this area, they actually show you, right? They show you how you should be grouping your input labels, your inputs, and your labels. So the labels should be matching the input, right? So if my ID is first name, the label needs to be first name. And then the text needs to be first name. Okay? So we're not going to talk about this very deeply now because we're not doing coding right now, but I did want to show it for anybody who was interested in getting a little bit deeper and understanding what that code will look like. Kathy Code said, "Ooh, I was reading up on 508 earlier." I think Kathy's in London, but 508 is just the WCAG. That's all it is. It's literally word for word WCAG 2.0 or 1. Lord, which one are they on? They're
It's
behind
2.0
by a few.
for the government.
Yeah. So the government's on 2.0 and they have not upgraded to 2.1 yet. Yep, Karina said 2.0, yeah. All right, so that's forms. If I'm using a screen reader and I go into your email and it's not labeled, it's not going to tell me anything. It's just going to read. What will it read, Dorlin, if it's not like labeled?
Usually like edit.
Edit. And you're like, edit what?
No, it's an edit field and it can be edited, but I wouldn't know what it was and would maybe get out of forums mode and go up above it, see if there was some text, but I should be able to tab into that field and know what I'm doing.
Right. So, and this is why, for the folks who are still hanging out with us, we decided, this is a good time to kind of interject that. We decided to talk about screen readers. I think on our timeline sheet that I created, um, screen readers are like second to last. They're very far down in the weeks, but we keep talking about screen readers because A, Dorland's a screen reader user, but B, using a screen reader allows you to see how many things may be wrong with the page because it's literally listing out the things that are like in the HTML, right? So if I'm using the tab button and I'm a keyboard only user, I'm just coming straight into this area, this form field, right? If I'm arrowing, I might hear add comment, I might hear your email, but for the most part, I want to be able to just tab in and not just hear edit. I want to be able to hear your email. Okay, that's just the gist of it. It's nothing too complicated. All right, let's talk about providing easily identifiable feedback.
One other thing you said before, though, is like the proximity of the label and that. And I think that's also for your low vision. People are using magnification, making sure that you don't have a huge gap between your actual text and your field, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because some people magnify like a thousand
Layout.
percent and are seeing like one word at a time. All right. So using error lists, icons, and background color to make errors stand out. So pretty much just making sure that you're highlighting in some way that there's an error, whether that be visually or by a star. You know where the error is. Okay. All right, headings and spacing to group related content. So this is just talking about headings, subheadings, and how you would group things using semantic HTML, essentially. If you style headings and you make them actually the right headings that they're supposed to be, the right heading levels, visually it looks nicer, it's easier to read, and hearing wise, if you're listening to it, it makes it easier to navigate with quick keys. So if I want to see what each heading is, I'm going to press H and the screen reader is going to read out each heading for me. If they're not, labeled as headings but they look like headings, then I'm not understanding the structure of the page. Creating design for different viewport sizes. This is just about like designing mobile first is also always a good thing, so that things are not getting chopped up or too small, etc. Including image and media alternatives in your design. Um, Things like having visible links to transcripts of audio, having links to audio described versions of videos, making sure there's text along with icons and graphical buttons. This is a big one. I'll give you an example. Finally, I have something that's actually accessible that won't embarrass me. But if we go to my personal webpage, africamenzi.com, right? I have some icons, and we can assume that someone would know what these icons mean, right? However, it's never good to assume because you know what that means. So I have right next to the icon for the GitHub, the text GitHub, I have a text next to email, the email icon, email. And then, uh, I don't know if it's doing this. Dorland, don't go on my website. I don't know if it's
Too
such.
late.
So, okay, can you check something for me? Because I actually do want to
Yes.
know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
GitHub and email, this is something that I hand coded myself and try to figure out while I was learning how to do this, is trying to get it to read GitHub link, email link. I can't remember if I fixed it correctly, but I did do a stream about it. Can you try to land on that area and see if it reads it correctly?
No.
It doesn't. Ooh,
Let's
I'm
see.
getting something weird
So
with this. What is
it
happening?
reads link, then I can arrow down and it'll read GitHub.
Oh, because it's reading the text outside of the actual
And
icon.
then when I hit for the next link, It's send mail link, right arrow, bullet.
What?
That's weird.
Oh my gosh, we'll get into this one. This will be an excellent example
Weird.
of like
Let
how
me
to
hit
fix
enter
things.
on that.
Weird.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this whole thing is messed up. A lot of this stuff I haven't worked on since, look, I still have 2002 as like the date at the bottom. Gosh. Yeah, clearly I
Let's
need to
see.
come back to this because I've learned a lot more since I've done this. But I haven't coded in a while, so I know that someone's going to be able to help me out with this and we can figure it out together. All right, let's get
Let's
back
see.
to it. I think we're almost done with these. Provide controls for content that starts automatically. Oh my gosh, this is a good one. If when I get on your page, something automatically plays within the next 3 elements on that page, I better have a pause button somewhere that I can click very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'll say about that.
Honestly, just don't do it. Like, don't have stuff playing automatically.
Yeah.
Like, even those first 3 elements for me, if there's something playing over my competing with my screen reader, I'm like instantly annoyed on your web page.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've got media there, like, I can press play on it if I want to hear it. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on my
that's my
personal page, I
opinion.
used to have an animation of like me. I wonder if it's still on my GitHub, but it was an animation and after learning more, I was like, I got this animation on my page. It didn't do anything other than like have a scrolling of like a cloud under a picture of me. It was like this picture, but oh good, I deleted it. Like thank goodness. But I had that on there for like a year and I finally deleted it. Because I couldn't be bothered to like figure out how to put a pause button on it and blah blah blah. I was just like, let me get rid of it, period. Um, all right, I see we have some websites to review. Nice. JM said
Oh,
the Justice
cool.
Department's site has a carousel that automatically plays. Ugh, yuck.
No joke.
What? JM's put oh, you put it in here. Yuck. Oh yeah, we're gonna go in on them. Um I'll have you all know that the government recently did a study on how accessible all the websites for the government are. Let's Google it. Let's look at it because we just finished. And what we're gonna do next? Let's go back to I want to show y'all this article because it's valid, but I also want to make sure we're on track. So let me go back to our slides and see what's next. Ooh, objective versus subjective. Yeah, this is good. So we're going to come back and talk about this, but really quickly, let's see if I can find it by just Googling government assesses accessibility of federal websites. I don't know.
Sounded good.
Okay, yes. The first thing that comes up is, I wonder if it's this one. Yes, bam. Is it this one? I don't think this is the study. I think this is what they put out after looking. Okay, yes, boom. Federalscoop.com. I'm going to put this in the chat. If you are American in America with us in the US, United States of America, because there's two of them, North America, not including Canada. This is valid. It says government not meeting minimal accessibility standards on federal websites. And let me also put this in the here so I don't forget. Where is it? Government not meeting minimal accessibility standards on federal websites. GSA report finds. A new assessment in federal government website accessibility found compliance to be well below expectations. And how could they be surprised if it's not being enforced, right? This is a really long article, so I'm not going to read all of it. But basically, they did an actual evaluation and test to look at it. And they found that overall the compliance to Section 508 is well below expectation. Given the federal government has had over 20 years to implement programs capable of achieving and maintaining modern ICT standards, more than three-quarters of the agencies that responded, so like maybe even more would have not, passed, were at or below average in terms of compliance. And less than 30% of top viewed online content analyzed conformed with standards. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Very disappointing news. But great news, because now that we have this information, right? Something will be done about it. And there was that White House. The first thing that comes up when you Google that is a White House initiative for accessibility. And we've been seeing it here in DC where we live, particularly in that there seems to be a lot more interest and willingness to like get up on these standards more than there ever has been. So that's really cool. Kathy said, wow, shocking. Yeah, it is. It's shocking because it's the law. That's the shocking part to me. You know what I mean? Like, interesting. But whatever. Let's move on to talking about objective versus subjective accessibility and what that means. So when I say, let's talk about like maybe not testing, but like what you can look at on a website that is either right or wrong, period. Right? What are some things that like you look at it and it's like this is conformant or it's not? There's no arguing about it. What would you say? Amber Pearl
No alt
said,
text.
if the government doesn't even follow the law, dead. Yeah, exactly. We'll see, though. It sounds like they're going to try. Kathy Code said, color contrast. I'd say so. What about you, Dorlin? I think you were about to say something.
I was just saying no, not having alt text on a graphic or not putting it as decorative. I agree with
Yes.
Kathy, and the color contrast, that's completely objective because you could run it through an analyzer and get an exact value.
Right. Alternative text. Is there alternative text? Yes, no. That's subjective. JM Sorrel. Yep. The Close Her said use of semantic HTML. You did it or you didn't, right? Exactly. Amor Puri said freaky fonts. So the thing about fonts is that can be subjective even if there are guidelines on fonts that appear to most people to be easy to read. I'd say. What do you think, Dorlin?
I would agree with you there that the font choice would be subjective.
It's a little subjective, but we do have some guidelines on what is
Yeah.
easier to read. James Kroll said, is the alternative text meaning or helpful? That is subjective. Absolutely.
That's true. Yeah, what that alt text is.
Mm-hmm. And there is a finesse to doing alt text. Karina Merg said, buttons and links with no name. Correct? Buttons and links with no
That's
name.
definitely.
Yep. So
Can't
these are
argue that.
objective. We can't argue. It is what it is, right? All right. So what aspects of accessibility are objectively testable? Let's see if we got all of them. Alt attributes. You either did it or you didn't. You either are telling me what's on this or not. We can argue about like how succinct or how good the alt text is, but we can't argue with whether or not the person did it and explained what it is. Maybe it could be done better, but it's either there or it's not. Form elements. Amor Pearl said, I accidentally clicked on another Twitch page and there was music blasting. So there's that. Yeah. Man. Twitch is weird. Form elements. You either did what we just talked about or you didn't. You either labeled your links, your whatever, or you didn't, right? Your form fields or you didn't. Header data cells. Oh, that's tables, right? So we're talking about tables.
Yeah.
Do you have headers? Do your tables work or do they not work? Page titles. Do you have a page title or not? The end, right? Color contrast. It's either passes or fails. Does anyone know the ratio off the top of their head?
I'll give the chat a chance.
I think it's 4-1. I could be wrong though.
I think it's 4.5 to 1.
4.5 to 1. Yep. Jam Swirl
Unless it's
said
large text.
right. Okay, so JM Kathy said 4-1, like I did, but JM Tams Karina said 4.5 to 1 for normal, and then Karina added 3 to 1 for large. Tam said 3 to 1, 3 to 1 for non-text elements. Thank you all. Okay, let's talk about subjectively testable elements on a page. What could we argue about when it comes to accessibility testing specifically? We talked about alt text. You can argue alt text, sure. I think you can also argue font. Kathy said easy to understand, simple language. We could argue that, kind of. I mean, we could.
Yeah.
A good thought experiment, Dorlin, while I'm talking and multitasking a little, is thinking about the things that we argue about. Because me and Dorlin argue a lot about what about certain things, but they don't feel consistent. They're usually like edge cases and random. Whenever if we argue about something, it's because I am a sighted user and it seems simple and intuitive to me. But usually Dorlin has something extra to add that is super useful. But think about it. I'm curious if you can think about one.
I'm trying so hard. I feel like we've had so many discussions this week about things like this.
Mm-hmm. Karina said all caps is bad for dyslexia. Yep, it is. It is. And Amber Pearl put, oh, dyslexia font. I don't know what website that is, but I'm up on game on the dyslexia fonts that exist. I'm gonna put this in our thing. It's dyslexiafont.com. It's basically a really cool font that makes it super easy to read fast, especially if you have dyslexia. And let's just go on it so I can show y'all for anybody curious very fast.
Am I recalling correctly that Comic Sans is actually an easier font to read?
Probably.
Dyslexia? I feel like that's one of those things that is popping into my head from years ago when I was first studying this material. Maybe someone out there knows.
Dorlin, I think you're sitting in the dark.
What, me?
Or your camera just went black.
No, I think it's a pretty good chance that the sun went down and I maybe didn't turn a light on here before we started. Okay, guys, give me a minute.
All
Let me
right,
stand up
so
and go find some light. I'll be right.
to describe the dyslexia font, it puts weight in certain areas of the letters pretty much, and it makes it really easy and fast to read. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. Tam said whether alt text is meaningful. Yes. Jam Sorrel said meaningful link text. That is subjective, kind of. All right, I can see you now. But you're still sitting in the dark.
Yeah, I think my screen went dim while we were talking there, and that's why. I think that's my only light source
because
right
now you're
now.
being. I think you're being illuminated by your screen.
Okay.
Let's see. Kathy said background color for light mode would be a subjective decision. Agree, absolutely. As long as it's enough, from that point it would be okay. This is enough, but also which one's better? That's subjective. Kathy Goat said, "Yeah, I heard about Comic Sans." The close her said it was sudden. It was sudden how black she went. Yeah, you were. Yeah, it was very. It was oddly sudden, honestly.
I think it
Um,
was my screen just going to sleep on me or something.
yeah. Well, you're still in the dark, just in case you want to know. We would love to see your beautiful face as a.
All right.
I don't mean to trigger you by saying that, but
All right, give me a sec.
Oh no, now
Dude.
you're just gone.
Oh no, I know. I
Oh,
muted
you
my
turned it
camera
off?
because I'm gonna
Okay.
stand up and go do something. I'll be
Cool,
right
cool,
back,
cool.
guys.
All right. Karina said, while talking about preferences, the dyslexia font would give me a headache in minutes. Yeah, I could see that. At one point, I changed, there's an extension that you can use on Chrome that will turn everything into this font, and I used it for a while until I just got tired of it. Um, but I also don't have dyslexia, so. The close her said the spinning graphic on the dyslexia font site is not great for folks with vestibular disorders. Where is that? Is it this? Is this the thing? Maybe that. Oh, that does make me want to kind of throw up a little bit. Ugh, I'm gonna pause this. I feel like maybe I wouldn't. Yeah, it kind of makes me a little dizzy. All right, James Coral gave us another nice website for what is this? An article on accessible typefaces. All right, cool. Thank you. I'm going to
Ooh.
add this to our link right here.
Let's see.
And
Can you see me now?
yes, perfect.
Focus visible again. No.
All right.
All right, cool.
Tam said, Gareth Ford Williams, an accessibility expert with dyslexia, cautioned against trusting fonts that claim to be good for people with dyslexia. He's written a great article on how to choose a typeface that works. Thank you so much, Tams.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really, when it comes to stuff like this, I'm like, I want to hear from the mouth of someone who actually has the disability we're talking about. Truly.
Absolutely.
Which is why I'm always like, I defer to Dorlin at the end of the day. If it has something to do with the screen reader, at least.
Right.
All right. The same as Jam's Toro's link, yep. Okay. Oh, it is the same link. That's funny. Okay. Let's move on a little. And let's get back to subjectively testable. So visual cues for the main purpose of web pages would be subjective. Font readability, cognitive load of sites. So actually, okay, this is something we argue about a lot, I think, to be fair. Because I know one of your things that you say a lot, if you haven't noticed, I'll tell you. You'll be like, but what if someone, what if someone with a cognitive disability is using this? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. So yeah, those are the top three, I would say.
Yeah, like how much like inference are you
Mhm.
relying on to make your site usable?
Yep,
Tell me how to use your site. Don't make me guess.
exactly. All right, we're actually doing good on time because we're at the last part of what we're doing today before we hang out and talk about next week. Robodom said, I kind of feel cognitive load is an important consideration. It is such an important consideration. So many people have, trouble navigating things or understanding things. And the easier and more simple we are about what we're doing, the easier it's going to be for anyone to use your website. The closer said, agreed. Robo said, sometimes I feel overwhelmed with the amount of info some sites just throw at you. And that's a huge one. Sometimes, and that's why we talk about headings and subheadings and white space, right? And fonts. and bullet points. All of these things make it easy for you to navigate a page versus when there's just a like a slab of like text and like a million different images just thrown all over the place. All right. So, let's talk about web design considerations by disability type. So we don't have enough time to talk about everyone. On the screen, I have a little graphic. It said designing for users with low vision, designing for users on the autistic spectrum, designing for users with dyslexia, designing for users with physical or motor disabilities. Here's the web page that we're going to go to right here. And I'm going to put it in the chat. I think I already put this in the chat, but I'm going to put it in again. Okay. How people with disabilities use the web. Great question. Well, great thing to talk about. I'm going to let y'all pick because you're a part of this. We're going to go to stories of web users. And we're going to look at these options and we're going to choose two. But we'll talk real quickly about most of, well, we'll see what we do. All right. So here are the options. And if you see one that you really want to talk about on the stream, put it in the chat. First one is Lee, an online shopper with color blindness. Then we have Alex, a reporter with repetitive stress injury. Martine, an online student who is hard of hearing. Ilya, senior staff member who's blind. Pretty, middle school student with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and dyslexia. Yoon, retiree with low vision, hand tremor, and mild short-term memory loss. Which reminds me, when we talk about cognitive disabilities, so many people have brain injuries. And that's one of the considerations that I want everyone to kind of think about. Because I think sometimes when we say cognitive disabilities, a lot of people think about like reading disabilities or, disabilities that maybe you're born with something that causes you to process information a little bit more slowly. But a lot of times it's, someone who had no disability and now suddenly has one. That makes it really hard for them to process information.
Yeah. Yeah, someone who's had a stroke or a traumatic brain injury
Mm-hmm.
or, other cognitive decline that happens with age, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that.
Right.
Although, so I personally, my father had a stroke a couple of years ago, and I want the use case you just read. That's the one I want.
Okay,
That's
we'll
my
do that
vote that
one.
we talked about because I've seen it up close and like someone who never was great using technology to begin with, but didn't have any disabilities. Acquiring a disability later in life on top of not having those skills already has been something that like I think about a lot when I'm thinking about how someone's able to use something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, we also have Lewis, a supermarket assistant with Down syndrome, and Kasim, a teenager who is deaf and blind. So, if you would like to hear one of these specifically, put it in the chat. I'll give you about 30 seconds to put it in there, and I'll tell you the one that I'm interested in because I see myself in it, and it will be the middle school student with ADHD. Um, I think we talk so much about members who are blind and deafblind, especially if you have been coming to our streams. So we'll hold off on that one. You can definitely click on these if you want to learn about them. And actually, I strongly suggest that you do that. Plus one
Yeah,
to Dorland's
all of them.
Choice. Cool. I like this one because it talks about three different things. And hand tremors is one of my favorites to talk about. Low vision is good. Short-term memory loss is a good
Also,
one.
the hand tremors bit, that's not something that always comes as a direct result of a disability. It can be the result of like a side effect of a medication
Mm-hmm.
to deal with something. It's a pretty common side effect actually of certain medications. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Karina said, talk to pregnant women or women going through menopause. They also have stories of Cognitive decline. That's a really good point.
Uh,
B. Turner wants to hear about Pretty, who's a middle school student. All right,
oh,
sounds like we have our two. Let's start with the one that's on top, which is Pretty, our middle schooler. And if you have the link, all you have to do is click on that. This is a lot to read. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, it's not that bad. So, Pretty is a middle school student with ADHD and dyslexia. Although she has substantial difficulty reading, she particularly enjoys her literature class. Pretty's school recently started using online digital textbooks. Pretty was initially worried about using this new format, but with the use of text to speech software that highlights the text on the screen as it's read out loud, she has found that she can focus on the content more easily instead of struggling over every word. I think I literally just talked to Dorlin about the specific software. We were talking about screen readers, so this is even better. Oh, I'm so glad we're talking about this because I don't know, something just dinged. Whoever that is, welcome. Anna B. Child. Um, we're talking about screen readers, right? And there's this concept that we talk about everything single stream because we want it to beat in your head to just to walk away knowing this one thing. Not only blind people are using screen readers, people with ADHD, people with migraines. This specific program, you Google Read and Write, and there's other programs that do this that highlights each word, and it's also good for people with reading disabilities. So I love to see that. The text to speech software is also helpful with other online text. However, oh, let me reread that. Pretty was initially worried about using the new format, but with the use of speech to text software that highlights the text on the screen as it reads it out loud, she's found that she can focus on the content more easily instead of struggling over every word. The text to speech software is also helpful with other online text. However, Pretty's experience with websites varies greatly from one site to another. Some sites use graphics and illustrations in a way that help her to focus on the sections and content that she would like to read, while other sites have a lot of advertisement and moving content that is very distracting. She also experiences problems with online content when the navigation is not clearly evident. She finds websites and apps that provide multiple means of navigation, such as a navigation bar, a search box, breadcrumb trails, and a sitemap to be much easier to use. Pretty School is also using a new online library catalog with improved accessibility. Before the new catalog was implemented, Pretty had to physically visit the library to receive assistance in searching and locating material. Now she can search the catalog on her own using her mobile phone, tablet, or laptop. Pretty still struggles with spelling, but has found that search functionality that suggests alternative spelling and provides error corrections are very helpful and greatly improve her experience. For more information on implementing these techniques that remove barriers for prettier, see the following resources. So they give you a bunch of resources for diverse abilities and barriers for ADHD and dyslexia, and then tools and techniques like captions, screen readers, text to speech, pop up and animation blockers, reading assistance, spelling and grammar, all these things. So when I was an occupational therapist, most of the people that I saw had ADHD, dyslexia, sensory processing disorders, and things like that. And all of these things were the things that I gave the students these tools, or some of them were adults who figured out they had these, that they had ADHD at an older age. And it's so amazing how these tools can help students and adults process information a lot easier. So, um, the close her said, I use the Chrome extension Read Aloud for text to speech sometimes. Amoral asks, what other screen readers do folks like? Ooh, this is a good one for Dorlin. There's like three main ones.
yeah, there really are. I mean, for Windows, you've got JAWS, which is one you have to pay for. A lot of people use that one, especially in the US. But then there's also NVDA, non-visual desktop access. That's open source. And so a lot of people are using that since it's free. It's also used pretty widely across the international community, I think, for screen reader users. Then VoiceOver, if you're a Mac user, it's built in to the Mac, and there's also VoiceOver for the iPhone, which a lot of folks are using. I think those are the top ones that people like. If you've got Android, you have to use TalkBack, it's built into that. Um, there's also Narrator for Windows, which most people are not using, but it's there, which is nice. It's always good to be able to turn on something and have a screen reader built in.
Right. And
Those are the main
next
ones.
week we'll be going over all the screen readers at nauseum finally so that like there's no mystery about what a screen reader is and how to use them. I'll be showing y'all how to use VoiceOver because I'm a Mac user and that's kind of like the only one I can use. I don't know if I can use NVDA on here or if it's only for
You,
Windows. I think
yeah,
it's only for
no, it's
Windows.
just for Windows. But we're gonna try and get me to be able to share too, so that we can show JAWS also
Yeah,
and
so
the Windows
Darwin's
side
gonna
of
show
things.
you JAWS and NVDA, I hope, because it is the free one, and that's probably the one that everyone will be able to download. So if you're still with me now, and you're gonna come live next time, or you're gonna watch asynchronously when it goes up, please remember to download either NVDA if you have Windows. If you want to use JAWS, they have a 40-minute mode that you can download.
Mhm.
But after 40 minutes, it makes you restart your computer. And if you have a Mac, VoiceOver is built in already, so you don't have to download anything. You just have to show up and be ready to open up your VoiceOver. Um,
Yeah. Or if you have a Mac and you want to practice this week, I believe Command plus 5 will open VoiceOver for you, and it'll also toggle it off so you can turn it back off. Don't worry. I know some people accidentally turn on a screen reader on their machine for the first time and be like, oh my gosh, make it stop talking.
oh,
So it's kind of a toggle there, Command plus 5, but then it'll like open up a tutorial for you when you first start. Did you just
yep.
do it? All right. But yeah, and I think that Jaws, the 40-minute mode, is worth
I'm sorry, I can't
downloading,
hear anything
to have.
because the screen reader's talking. So I'm gonna get out of here. And I don't think I
That's
was
fair.
sharing my screen sound, so you probably didn't hear that. But literally, Command
You weren't.
F5 if you want to mess around with it. For
Oh, Command F5. My
hmm
bad, guys. Sorry. I said Command 5 so many times. Command F5.
oh, okay. I'm so excited to talk about this because I've been retaking Harvard CS50. I need to get back on game, but I'm on like the second or the second one, and they talk specifically about emojis. So Amor asked, "Do screen readers recognize simple text emoticons?" Are you talking about emojis or like if you put like colon and then the parentheses? But screen readers do read emoticons and I'm going to talk more about
Emoji.
that. What's up?
That's another thing, most people have a smartphone. If you're using an Android, you got TalkBack. I don't know a lot about that, but you can switch it on and play around with it a bit. If you have an iPhone, you can turn on VoiceOver from the accessibility settings. Um, and from there, just like go into your text and like listen to it read a series of emojis or whatever. They've all got descriptions, which is cool.
Um Kathy said excited for the screen reader session. The close her said me too. Plants Pajama said at close hers I used that one with my students sometimes. Also Google Read and Write. I just talked about Google Read and Write. Oh man, I love it because it's free. There's a lot of things that cost money, but Google has a lot of built-in things that are free. So I like to uh, give that to people as a resource. Um,
Oh, one
it's
more thing for free thing. If you don't want to go download one of the screen readers, although you should, and you have a Windows machine, you can turn on Narrator, which is the built-in Windows screen reader, just to have, see how it is. There's a little tutorial with that guy too. The command for that is Control Windows plus Enter. And again, that's a toggle. So Control Windows plus Enter will turn it back off and make that goofy narrator voice stop talking to you.
right. James Coral said yes. Screen readers are reads emoticons, which is why we should use them sparingly. So, you know, we're going to talk about this
Yes and
more. I know, I am like, this is a topic.
yes and no. So the people who put like 6 yellow hearts and then like 5 whatevers and like very repetitive with emojis, it drives me nuts. I don't want to hear it over and over. But like a friend who will text me a stream of like different emojis, it'll crack me up. I love it. So I don't know. That's subjective, I guess.
That is very subjective, but like, just as a small quip, um, there's something that people do when they'll like use the clap emoji in between each word to emphasize it, and that's like, don't do that if you care about, like, if you know that a screen reader user is going to be reading your stuff, like that's annoying. But what I think is interesting to hear from someone who is actually a screen reader user who cannot see what the emojis look like is the fact that they like receiving emojis. Like they, it's the same thing as if I saw an emoji. It describes it pretty well. And it's, I think to me, when I think about it, I'm like, well, it's just a part of like the nature of being online or texting and something that you can participate in. And Dorlin sends me emojis and I send her emojis and I think they're funny. Personally.
There's a guide dog emoji.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna explain how emojis are read by computers, and I can't wait to talk about it because I just learned it, and I'm just like, this is so cool. All right. Yes, the closer said, yeah, I've seen the clapping one discussed on Twitter, and I think that's where I saw it, and that's why I used that explanation. Because it wasn't something that I thought about. It was just something that felt like a thing, and then when I saw it, I was like, well, that confirms it, I guess. What I like about Twitter is that people who actually have the disability are on there telling y'all what's up. It's like coming from the horse's mouth. I am blind, I am deaf, or whatever it is, and this is annoying. And I'm like, I'm gonna listen. Okay, let's talk about Yoon, the retiree with low vision, hand tremors, and mild short term memory loss. And then we're gonna spend maybe like 10 minutes roasting some websites. Um, So Yoon is an 85-year-old with reduced vision, hand tremor, and mild memory loss, common age-related impairments for someone his age. Yoon regularly browses the web, reading news sites. In recent years, he also started using social media to stay in touch with his family and friends. He maintains his own blog. Wow, my guy. Maintains his own blog where he posts articles on art history and other topics he enjoys. Like many older individuals, Yoon has difficulty reading small text and clicking on small links and form elements. His daughter showed him how to enlarge text on the web browser, which works well on many websites. He encounters problems when text does not reflow when it's enlarged, and he's forced to scroll back and forth to read the enlarged content, which means he easily loses track of his place. This is a WCAG criteria right here. If I enlarge more than 4,000%, I should not have horizontal scroll. Um, he also has problems with capture images found on many social media sites. The bane to a lot of people's existence is capture that doesn't explain what you're trying to click on. The text is so distorted, even when he enlarges it, that he often cannot accurately enter the text. He has a better experience on sites that use alternative captcha options. Unfortunately, only a small number currently do. Yoon's daughter gave him a special mouse that is easier to control with his hand tremors. He also uses the web browser that saves thumbnail images of his frequently visited sites, which makes it easier for him to keep track of the sites he goes to most often. If you want to see things that he can use in resources, right here they show diverse abilities and barriers for like low vision, hand tremors, mild short-term memory loss, cognitive, and then the tools and techniques that he would use, like screen magnification, alternative keyboards and mouse filters, mouse customization, and then the accessibility principles that touch on each one of those things. So, oh my gosh, Todd Libby's here. Todd, I was just talking. Funny you joined this chat. I was just talking about captions and me being more accessible during my streams and how I've been trying to figure out how to do it. And it definitely comes directly from you calling everyone out on LinkedIn about using captions during streams. And I was like, man, you know what? Uh, I don't do that currently, and it's kind of hard. So thank you, Todd, for making that a thing that I am definitely going to be doing. I gave myself a deadline by not next stream, the stream after that, but I'm gonna try to go for next stream. It looks like Todd said, I got you, hold please. Thank goodness someone came to rescue me with that. Ooh, thank you. And I'll let me put this in here. Stream CC Gooseman dot codes. All right, I'm gonna just say it. I am going to have this done by next stream. Mark my words. Thank you so much, Todd. Todd said integrate seamlessly into Twitch. If y'all don't know who Todd is the goat of web accessibility. Has been doing this for like 20 years or something. And I've learned so much from him. Like literally so much from him. He's awesome. Todd, if you want to like drop your whatever you want to share, please do. Todd also streams and has some really great web accessibility streams. So Todd said, haha, old goat. Old goat, no, greatest of all time, okay? That's it, nothing else. Todd dropped his Twitch. Follow him on Twitch, y'all. You want to learn something by someone who actually knows what they're talking about and also codes, unlike me, I would say definitely check out his stuff. Got another one. Also follow him on Twitter. Todd Libby on Twitter and on LinkedIn. I feel like you've been on LinkedIn a lot, Todd. I like Todd's style on conveying what to do with accessibility because he keeps it real. Like he just put in the chat, he has those spicy takes and bad puns. He loves lobster rolls. He's from Maine. But yes, very good resource. Todd's also in our Discord group. I don't know if he checks it or not, but if you ever have questions, someone's in there to help us out. And hopefully Todd will be on to teach us something on this stream when we get to one of the more technical topics. And I'll be reaching out Todd about that. It's just we don't know when it's going to be. We're trying to take this casually and take our time through the stream. So when we get closer to a topic that you may want to talk about, I'm going to reach out to you. Todd said, I'm heading out soon to speak at a conference. So yeah, Todd also does conferences and speaks at a lot of them about accessibility. One of his talks that I like a lot is about deceptive patterns in web design. All right, so we just finished. Now it's time to roast some websites. All right, so let's go up to, Todd said, in all caps, which we just talked about is harder to read than regular text. Make things accessible, you cowards. Winky emoji. Yeah, Todd's not gonna really give it to you with sugar. I'm more of a sugar lady, but not really. Y'all know I be roasting people, but Todd is really gonna be like, hey.
I like to start with the honey.
I'll give honey to those who deserve it, sure. All right. Let's roast some websites, y'all. I guess I gotta scroll up to get to it.
I'm ready. Give me that URL.
Ooh, one thing about Dorland roasts websites just existing every day.
That is just what I do as a person all day, every day. Just trying to get through life.
Okay, sorry, I gotta scroll up kind of far. Y'all actually be in this chat talking. Okay, Karina Merg said that I have a page that I did as an alley project. Here it is. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see what's popping. Copy. I'm going to paste it, repaste it in here for anyone who wants to look at it. And I'm going to put this in. It's going to be the last link, Dorlin, if you're in the Google Doc.
Oh, I'm not in the Google Doc.
You want me, or do you want me to put it in
Yeah, throw it in the Video Ninja chat. How about?
Okay.
I have that open right now.
Copy.
Next week, I promise I will have the Google Doc open simultaneously. That's actually a way better way to do that.
Whatever's easiest, I'm cool with. All right, just sent it. So Dorland's gonna actually probably be a lot more critical because she's listening through a screen reader, which most people don't even know exist. So we'll just look at this from face value right now. Us visually.
Oops.
Oh, Todd said you're one of my faves. Oh, thank you. It's fun roasting websites. Yes, it's definitely my favorite thing. All right, so we're not roasting this one because this is from a community member. So all we're doing is giving feedback. My initial thing that I usually look at is the easiest thing, like color contrast, right? Karina said do roast. So far, I'm not seeing anything that's like glaringly roastable. Other than maybe, well, nope. See, so they have required in red, right? But it says required. So not mad at it. That's a great example of color only. So full name and email in red and message were written in red, and then she had they had something that said in red required, then it would be problematic, right? All right, so I don't know, is this no, this is not a link, but it looks like one because it's underlined. So that's just a random thing. This is not something that's like wrong WCAG wise, right? This is not like something that would be like, this is a defect. It's just a consideration. This looks like a link to me, but it's not. Make sure you remember to have a great day. Okay, ad hoc, I guess, is going to take us to, what is this? Uh-oh. Was that supposed to take us there? I don't know. Usually when I see something here, I assume it's going to take me to home, but I'm not sure. So Todd Libby said, I'd only say if all form fields are required, then use the asterisk on all labels, then a star required field. I don't know if that is redundant in a screen reader. Yeah, so I agree. The best practice would be the star, like we saw earlier when we were looking at forms, because the screen reader is going to just hear full name, open parentheses, required. Email, open parentheses, required, close parentheses. Message, open parentheses, required, close parentheses. And it doesn't say close parentheses, it says like left, right, parent or something like that. So that's something good to point out. Karina said, this is from Ad Hoc's Alley Engineer homework. Okay, so this is, got it. So that was supposed to take you somewhere specific. Okay, cool. What else? Another thing, what should this be doing when I hover? Does anybody remember? Oh, you're supposed to follow the design specs from this website, this link that you just put in, homework.adhoc. I'm just going to open that to see what it is. This is interesting. Okay. JM said hover effect to show visible focus indicator. Yes. Kathy said visible change. Robo said should be highlighting. Yep. Exactly. So typically we want this to show me something. All right. So now I'm going to just go through with my keyboard. I'm nervous. Let's see if I can tab through. I should be able to tab to about. I should be able to tab to ad hoc, about, contact, full name, email, message, and there should be a focus indicator. Okay. So, oh, you get a focus indicator. Oh, actually, also, error number one for me is that I am looking at this in, um, I'm looking at this in Google, in DuckDuckGo, and typically you want to do this in like Chrome, like all the ones that people are actually using. So sometimes these other ones they don't show it as well. So I'm gonna open this over here. Nope. So focus indicator in Chrome. Okay. So let's see. Tab. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. So if I tab, I'm getting focus indicator. And just out of curiosity, because I like DuckDuckGo, let's see if it also does the same thing. Yep, so it's giving me a focus indicator. Uh-oh, but not for the top. That's interesting. For some reason for this one, I can't, I think I'm in a keyboard trap right now on this one, but that's why we don't test on these random ones. Plants and Pajamas said, I have to head out. Bye, everyone. See you next week. Bye, Plants and Pajamas. See you next week.
Bye.
Okay, so great. We have our focus indicator. I'm pretty happy about that. Love to see it. And everything is being highlighted in order. Is the screen reader reading it, though, Dorlin? Is a good question.
Reading which one?
Is it reading
Sorry,
the
I've got my
page?
screen reader going. Yeah, yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, everything's reading, and I was able to close the little message. There's that one heading. COVID tests, since it's all smushed together, reads weird. COVID tests.
COVIDtest.com. Oh, because it's a link, covidtest.gov. So I guess if you put
What?
like a camel case, it would be a little easier. But
no, it's not a link.
no, I mean it's a URL, but not like a active one.
Oh, I see. I think I just didn't get to the .gov part then when I was doing it and thought it was together. All right.
Anything else we should look at, y'all? Karina said, how about if there's errors in the form? That part I struggled with. So what did you struggle with exactly? And how do we know if there's an error?
So I did try to hit submit with just like an E, nothing in the first name field, just an E, because I accidentally hit that letter in the email address, and then submitted, and I got an error letting me know I needed the @ symbol basically in the email. So I'm going to go back and just put an @ in that field. But it didn't let me know that there was any issue with the first field not being filled in.
Please enter a part followed by @ is incomplete. Please enter a part. Maybe please enter the email name followed by @.
I think it would just be more convenient for any error in that field to be like, this needs to be formatted as,
Again, give the
something
example. Name
Yeah.
@gmail.com. So if you give an
Or
example, it
name.
makes it a little bit more explicit.
Yeah.
Todd said, imagine a group of C-suite sitting around and doing a screen reader demo and it reads FAQ out loud.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I lose it sometimes, the things my screen reader reads.
Tam said, other issues. 1, the purpose of the form isn't clear for the page title or instructions.
Yes, I agree with that. I was a little confused. I was like, am I actually on the right page at first, when you guys were talking about it? Because it doesn't. Accessibility engineer homework is the title of the page, but then my heading level 1. Oh, I've got to. Is examining the covidtest.gov architecture. And then I get into a form field, which I could assume is to maybe order these COVID tests.
Yeah, I don't
But
know
it
either.
actually tells me no reason why I'm going to give
Oh,
someone my name and email address and submit it and give them and what this message might be for, you know? I
right.
mean, obviously this is, the elements there are actually coded correctly. They've got the correct labels on the fields and stuff, but I don't know why I'm putting that info in.
Mm-hmm. Tams also said, what kind of message are we supposed to enter here? Two, how's the color contrast on the submit label? We're going to test that. Robo said, do some browsers have preset accessibility features? Yes, they do. And they're all kind of different, from my understanding. JM said, might be good to have the error message repeat the name of the field, e.g., full name, along with the example of how it's supposed to be formatted. Yep. Todd said, not unless it is an extension, as far as I know. Usually it's set at the OS level. Okay, I was wrong. Todd definitely knows much more than me about that. I thought that I assumed that there was some type of something baked in, but for the most part, I know you can use like extensions like Chrome and Firefox. They usually have pretty good extensions for that. Um, Karina said, that I had nothing to do with. That was the design. I'm not sure what
Mm,
you were talking about for that one, Karina, for that you had nothing to do with it.
might be the disjointedness of it,
Mm.
just like the actual content of the page there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Todd Libby said, like Mac OS, you have to, I don't know why, turn on focus indicators. Still dot 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 still face. Mike OS, you have to Mac OS, you have to turn on focus indicators. What? Hmm.
Hmm.
He also said this is important that accessibility be addressed even before the design stage. Yes, because you have to understand what you're designing. If you design it without the considerations, you're just going to have to rebuild and it's going to just be so much harder. Todd said there may be something at the user agent level for built in Alley. Oh, Karina said the info about what the form is for, I guess you had nothing to do with it, was the design. Um, okay, I got it. So we don't know. Oh, okay, got it. So the person who this is why copy is important, right? So website copy, whoever's doing it, they also have to be on board about what's popping with this.
Um,
So I like to use contrast with an e at the end
mm,
to do to check. So we're gonna check really fast the contrast for this. Contrast. Wait. Pass. It
mm,
passes.
all right, cool. Um, One other um, thing I found with the site is these links at the top to
Oh, bye,
take
Armor
us.
Pearl. They said they need to go eat food now. They really enjoyed being with us
Ooh,
all. Heart.
yum. Enjoy.
Enjoy. Yeah,
Good having
we
you.
probably got another 20-ish minutes we'll hang out. But anyone who has to go, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been a very long stream.
Mhm. It always is when we're like, we're gonna go short today.
Yeah, every
Those are the
time. But the thing
longest.
about it, something happens when I get on stream where I just get excited about what we're talking about, and then when people are in the chat, like I just feel like, oh, we're hanging out. All right, let's do it. And also, I want to get through these topics. Okay, I'm sorry. What were
One
you saying?
thing on yeah, these links at the top, the two links,
Mm-hmm.
the visit the ad hoc about page and the contact page, those are opening external links in a new
Oh
tab.
yeah.
And they're not letting me know either of those things are about to happen. Like you're navigating me away from the site, you're opening in a new tab. And so um, I like to be alerted of those. I don't think it's not in 2.0. uh, as a defect, but it's just best practices to let me know because all of a sudden I'm on a new page and I should know that beforehand.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Karina,
Yeah, that's
for
awesome.
letting us look at this. This was really good as a concrete example. So I'm gonna pick one
Yeah,
more.
thanks for sharing your homework.
Yeah, appreciate it. Um, let's see who I'm gonna pick next. Ooh, can I even go up that far? Uh-oh. It's not letting me scroll all the way up. Possible justice.gov. If you put one of your links in the chat, can you put it in again? Because I can't scroll all the way up. Maybe I have to go on the actual Twitch page. Let's see if I can scroll up that way. Dang, it's not letting me. I guess I can only scroll up but so far. But here is one that Tams put. I don't know if they're saying that this is one that should be accessible. Ooh. Guess we're about to find out.
Which one?
I'm going to put it in the chat for you. And then I'm going to put it in the chat for everyone else. This one is from Tams. Thanks, Tams. Wow.
Oh
Oh my
no.
gosh. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, I have so many things open right now. I've lost our video. Ah. All right.
Wow. All right, here's the link. Oh, and then close her. So we were going to look at justice.gov. Yes, we'll look at justice.gov after we check out this one, check.mdsdgov.nz. All right, let's see what this one's got going on. Okay, the first thing I see is this is really hard to read up here. Ministry of Social Development, T Manitou Wakito Ora. Okay, that's just the first thing that jumps out at me. Let's see what else is on here. Tell us your age to get started. Your age can't be blank. I like that. Okay, okay, okay. It's telling me that my age can't be blank automatically. What else? Visually, I'm into it. I like the layout. What I'm curious about, Dorlin, just to let you know if you're on here with your screen reader,
I am.
the navigation says English, Torre, Moro, Cook Island Moro, Samoan, Tongan. These are tabs. Does it tell you that it's a tab when you go through? They're page tabs.
Where? Let's see. Oh, no, it's telling me they're links.
Okay. So there goes one thing. It looks like as I'm going through, it's kind of highlighting it, but I would want this highlight to be a little bit more explicit. I like this one.
Now they're actually tabs. It doesn't actually change the site into a different language.
It does change the site into another language.
I think the fact that they look like I think
They
it's
just
actually
look like
okay.
tabs, yeah. Okay, this is just a
Yeah,
visual choice, design choice. So it's not actually
yeah,
opening something new, it's just changing the language. Um,
yeah.
one thing that is another thing to to be aware of is if you are doing the hover state that we talked about, the the only thing that change if the only thing that changes is color, why is that problematic? And I want to also say that my old website did the same thing. All it when I hovered, it just changed from like black to pink. But if you can't see color, right, then it doesn't matter. So you want to make it bolder. You want to make a maybe a line under it. You want to do something that changes what happens when you get on it other than the color. Also, I'm guessing that doesn't this might not. This probably fails color contrast up here. Tam said, so it's a form that you can fill out in different languages. The idea is to fill out the form and test that. Fill out the form and test what? Let me read it. It says, check what you might get. This guide.
Oh, I put alphabet or letters in instead of numeric characters for my age, and it gave me a error message immediately.
I'm not putting my age in. I'm 22, y'all. What does it do?
Well, I'm 89.
89. Relationship. Why do we ask these questions? What best describes your relationship? Huh. Okay. Anybody knows anything else? Karina Merck said you can also change the shade of the color. I'm guessing you're talking about for hovering, maybe. All right, I'm gonna tab through and see if I can tab through everything. So yeah, the tab is good. I'm getting both the change of color highlighted and the focus indicator. We love that. I can tab through everything. Oh, that is half the battle, I tell you. Yep. I can enter start, and then it says your age may only contain numeric characters. We love that. Robodom said, you don't look a day over 21. Appreciate you. Robodom said, is color blindness the main reason you want the font to change visibly when you hover? We can say that it's the main reason, but it's also helpful for someone who may have low vision. If something is changing, like this is going from gray, dark gray to black, so it may not be as obvious to someone who has low vision. But while we're here, let's check to see if these color contrasts are good. Okay, it actually passes. That's why we check. All right, this one's not too bad, honestly. Not too shabby. So, if I put 12, oh, I gotta be 16 and over? Okay. All right, cool. Oh my gosh. Guess what I'm not even gonna get into it. We don't got no time for that. But I wonder how this is read by a screen reader because me and Dorlin looked at a page that had these. It's one of those things where it has like that check mark under the text, and you can navigate the circle with the text and the number. Like there's a number in a circle, and they're like, oh, I'm so bad at explaining things. It's like one of those things where it's in a line and you can go from one page to the next by selecting the circle with the number.
Oh yeah, those are all read as links and graphics, and letting me know that I can go. I think if those are the same things.
A progression bar. Thank you.
It says
Robo.
So
progression indicator jam. Thanks. Yeah.
There's the step 1 of 8, the current step, and then after that, I've got a link graphic, upcoming step, children, 2 of 8.
Okay. All right. I'm opening the
Upcoming step.
justice.gov one for the sake of time.
Okay. Although I will say that I don't feel the instructions on that second page or that first page that we're on are very good for the. Actually, there's a help button I haven't opened yet, so it might be more clear.
Whew. Okay. U.S. Department of Justice. This is really hard to read to me for some reason. It's probably because it's dark on white, and I just have issues with that personally. Um, a lot going on here, and I'm running out of steam, honestly. But
Fair enough.
for those still in here with us, there's a few of us left. Do you see any glaring issues with this website? It's probably once you use a screen reader, it'll show up a little more. But I'm gonna give this one not even 2 minutes till we close out and
Oh
talk
my
about
goodness. I
next
found an
week.
unlabeled link. 2 of 6, 1 of 6 tab, 2 of 6 tab 3.
Oh man,
This
okay.
thing is actually a mess. I am very unimpressed.
I figured that's what was gonna be the case.
And like there's like 3 headings on here which really truly don't uh, help you navigate the page very well.
All right. So next week, you all will have the tools to be able to use a screen reader and assess this yourselves so that you're not out here, with a page that looks like it's accessible but actually isn't. Let's see. I'm going to just tab through real fast. Ooh. All right. Everything's kind of oh my gosh. I just realized that this was a carousel. Shame. Y'all know how I feel about carousels. Just don't use them.
Oh, they don't have subtitles or closed captions available on their little video. Unless they are already included on the video and it's not something you need to toggle on. And then I wouldn't be aware of them anyway.
Yeah, you can't. You also can't use the carousel with the keyboard. All right, that's enough of that.
Boo.
All right, I got us on the big screen. Cuz we have gone through everything so thoroughly that I am very excited that we did this stream, and I feel like we have the keys to the city of understanding at least what to look for. Right? We have a good indication of like some things to look for as we're going through these pages. Some barriers that we might come across, and we have some case studies on individuals with disabilities and how they navigate the web. If you want any more information on all of that, you have the link to all the links. At some point, I'm going to try to go through it and label what the links are, but for now, you're just going to get the link, and hopefully that'll be helpful. Any questions, comments? Remember, y'all, next week, screen reader time. All right. I want everyone to actually. Robo
Don't
said,
flip a screen reader on tonight. Do it. You've got one. You've got one
yeah.
built in somewhere. Flip it
Before you
on.
get to us, play around with the screen reader. Robo said was kind of entertaining to see you and Dorlin roast the Gov site. Yeah, it's like literally what we do all day. It just comes
Oh my
naturally
God, I'm
at this
still
point.
over there. I got issues. I got ready to write my report.
Yeah. The horse said, it's been a wonderful and informative stream. Thanks, Africa Dorland and the community. Thank you, the horse, for always hanging out with us. Tam said, thank you so much for facilitating this session. It's been great to meet you. Good to meet you too, Tams. Hope we see you in the Discord or in our next live. James Coral said, no accessibility justice. Yeah, that's what this website should be called, but we're not going to talk about that. Robo said, thanks for the stream. Yeah, so pretty much we're gonna hang out. Anybody with any questions? But mostly we want you to walk away with knowing that we're doing screen readers next week, and we're super excited about it. Also, after we do screen readers, we're going to be using the screen reader during stream a lot more than we have. James said, "Bye, friends. I feel so smart now." You are smart. Um, and we also want to emphasize that when we're learning how to code in general, screen readers and assistive technology are like the last thing you learn, if ever. So we wanted to be the change that we wanted to see by just saying no. First, we're going to learn about this, and now that you know why we're learning about it and what we're looking for with the screen reader, you know how to test it, so that we're not getting on pages and being like, "Oh, I thought it was accessible," when it's like, no, you need to use a keyboard and you got to use a screen reader. And even for those who are not using screen readers, a screen reader will highlight the things that are wrong with the page without you having to go dig in the code and figure that out yourself. It'll kind of highlight those barriers in a much easier way. Any closing remarks, Dorlin?
No, just that I'm ready to go audit a lot of different websites that are open on my computer right now, but I'm going to close them out
Right.
instead. This has been fun. This has been cool getting to work with everyone today and just go through everything and kind of
Yeah.
touch base on what makes the site, good and accessible in a quick way.
Yeah, so next week we're gonna do a very healthy dose of roasting. We have a little baby list of things that we want to look at with the screen reader. I think a few websites. I know we talked about the commerce website, Impossible Foods, and we'll probably figure out a few more from the Discord, because I'll just be like, y'all, put the links in of like websites you like or hate or feel neutral about. Karina said, "Thank you all. This was fun and informative." Yeah, this was actually super fun. This was a good one. I'm excited for next week.
Yeah,
It's gotta
we
be
can sit
good.
down.
All right, friends. It's been 2 hours and 46 minutes. We made it.
Wow.
We did it. Download those screen readers. Voiceover, you already have it. Narrator, you already have it. Right? You want to go beyond
Yeah.
that? JAWS and NVDA are the other two you got to figure out how to download. I will probably put the links in the Discord if you're in the Discord on how to do that so that you're ready. Other homework would be use a screen reader. Use a screen reader. Before the next session, just turn it on. Just turn it on, even for 5 minutes, just for fun. Also, on your phone, right? I got voiceover on here. Go to settings and accessibility. B. Turner said, "Enjoyed my first session with you all. Thank you for coming." The horse said, "See you next week, friends." Karina said, "Thank you all. This was fun and informative." Yeah. All right. So we
Cool.
know what our mission is for next week. We know what we're doing, and I will be at home with my mic finally. All right. I think we're gonna sign off now. Anything else, darling?
No, I'm going to go feed the tank.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
See y'all.
Bye, guys. Have a good week.
Robodom said, "Take care, y'all. See you on the next one." Yep.
Woohoo.
All right. Bye, friends.
Bye.